Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another broadcast of Equity and Energy. We are very excited today to introduce to you Dr. Rochelle Ford. You've seen her on probably a lot of our events. I think we did Taj over at Dillard, and we also did Mr. John Ward over at Dillard. So you've seen her. I think also you were at our Inc. Celebration as well. So she's definitely been a friend to OHUB, and we're super excited to welcome her to the podcast. And Dr. Ford, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. It's nice to see you. And I'm so excited that Dillard University is in partnership with OHUB.
We are excited too, man. I'd be even more excited if it was 35 degrees outside, but we are very excited, even though it is 27, 28 degrees outside.
Well, it's okay. It's okay. We can survive this. And you know what? I think that it is good that we are going to be creating new opportunities in this new energy sector. So how do we heat the world when it's cold without ruining the environment?
That's right. Great time to talk about new energy and heating the room. So Dr. Ford, tell us a little bit about your background and tell us a little bit about your journey on your way to president of Dillard University.
Thank you so much. So I have been President Dillard for about 18 months. I started in July of 2022 and have been in higher education for over 25 years. Don't tell anybody, it's actually more than that, but that's okay. It's been an amazing journey here where I really got to feed that desire of being inquisitive and learning something new every day. I became a journalist and public relations person, and I love to tell stories and stories that will help uplift our community. And was able to do that through my career serving at HBCUs and really helping to create a more equitable workforce in each of the universities where I have worked. And so it's exciting to be at Dillard to continue this journey in cultivating leaders. And that's what I've done throughout my career. And that's what Dillard University is all about, is cultivating leaders.
Absolutely. So now tell us a little bit about your hometown.
Everyone loves me to say my hometown. Hopefully, it
Yeah.
becomes the most famous hometown ever. I
Mhm.
grew up in a small town outside Columbus, Ohio called Gahanna. So if you
Okay.
can say banana,
Gotcha.
you can say Gahanna.
Okay.
And it was not probably the bastion of diversity at the time, but
Mhm.
through that community, I learned about the importance of creating opportunities.
Yes.
Also learned a little bit about entrepreneurship uh,
Okay.
from a lemonade stand. That's a whole other story, but it was fresh lemonade. Save the environment,
Start.
give everybody
It's a
some fresh
start.
lemonade. But
Mhm.
in Gahanna, learned about the importance of creating an inclusive environment where people can bring their whole selves to work, to school, what
Mhm.
have you. And I think that's a big part of where we stand in this whole new energy sector, is how do
Mhm.
we make sure that there's opportunities for Black and brown faces, for people who have oftentimes been excluded. I learned that in my hometown, that just
Mhm.
because someone think that you ought to be excluded, how do you open that door, kick down that ceiling,
Mhm.
and bring yourself in the excellence that particularly African Americans and others can bring to the table. So learn that in Ohio.
And I love how you spoke about that small community teaching lessons, and then to a certain degree, Dillard being in Gentilly is one of those small, very close knit communities as well. Um, Understanding the nature of a small community, how do you think like those HBCUs that sit in those small communities? What are some of the ways that they can um, kind of help elevate the space that's around them?
So one of the things that historically Black colleges and universities have always done is brought
Mhm.
social uplift to not only our students, but the communities in which we serve,
Mm.
providing jobs and opportunities for employment. But a college degree is your gateway to social mobility. And one of the
Mhm.
special things about historically Black colleges like Dillard University, which were the oldest historically Black college in the state of Louisiana, or university, and back to the 1860s, is that we not only are investing in our communities, but we are uplifting. We're uplifting individuals. So when you get a degree from an HBCU in particular, you're going to get a great sense of self, and you're going to
Mhm.
be told for 4 years that you are talented. We're going to train you to be ready to compete with the best there is. And so when you graduate, not only are you going to have the knowledge and the skill set to compete, but you're
Mhm.
also going to have the right mental framework to say that, you know what, you are a descendant of kings and queens. And
Mhm.
you can do anything you put your mind to. And just remember that you have a community that is there supporting you and believing in you. And so I think HBCUs, and this is what Dillard, we're saying in our vision, that we're going to be a communiversity. In other words, that we're going to be part of the community. We're going to meet the workforce demands that communities have. We're going to provide jobs and opportunities,
Mhm.
but we're going to be here to uplift the communities in which we serve. And so, Dillard, we're saying we're a communiversity that advances health, safety, and innovation. And that's
Mm.
what we're all about. And I think HBCUs across the country serve that, whether you're in a rural community or you're in an urban community, where I like to say we're kind of like, or urban, but you feel very safe and secure on our campus and the Avenue
Mhm.
of the Oaks, which is one of the most beautiful campuses in America. But
Big
nevertheless,
Oaks.
um, it's that role that all HBCUs play as a beacon of hope, and
Mhm.
part of the community, uplifting our students, but also uplifting the communities where we reside.
Yeah, man. And just as a shout out to the Dillard community and all alumni as well that could be watching. We a lot of me and my friends who went to Tulane University.
Mhm.
But can I tell you that Dillard was like our safe haven. Like when things got tight or we needed to spend time with, just a place that made us feel safe. I mean, it's not that Tulane was unsafe. It's just I needed a place that made me feel safe. And we would spend a lot of time with a lot of the like the Greek organizations, and just spending time on Dillard's campus. Like we loved whenever special events and things was coming. So definitely a shout out to the Dillard family for also helping us to grow up a little bit too while we were down here doing our college years.
Well, I'm glad that we were able to provide that. And I think Dillard and other HBCUs that share space with other colleges, university, predominantly white ones or historically white universities, we oftentimes provide that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just for the other college students that might be enrolled in historically white institutions, but also for community members. I
Mm-hmm.
hear so many stories of our community who said, I went to summer camp at
Mm-hmm.
Dillard,
Mm.
or I took a dual enrolled in college classes when I was in high school, or even jumped in the pool and learned to swim at Dillard.
Yeah,
And,
yeah,
and we're still doing that with summer programs that we offer that are in the STEM areas. Where students can learn about biology and they can learn about computer science and doing robotics and all. And we continue to do that for youth, but then we're also there for senior citizens, where
yeah,
we're teaching seniors how to use their smartphones and
yes,
how to become much more literate through broadband and getting making it the internet's available for all. And the state of Louisiana said that's one of the things that we were going to do, be one of the first to provide internet for all of its citizens.
mm,
And Dillard is part of that, making sure that when there's access, explaining what those programs are, how do we then train people to use it and to be part of that national push?
so based on understanding that we have a university in the middle of a thriving community, and it is actually playing an active role in that thriving community. What are some of the things that, like, as you move forward and things like this, what are some of the things that you believe that Dillard offers as a unique value proposition? I know that it's always, every school has something that's special about it, but I really do believe that, and we talked about community, but what do you believe is Dillard's unique value proposition when we start talking about new energy and just opportunities that are
Sure.
coming down the road?
So, Dillard University, we are first the oldest
Hmm.
HBCU in the state of Louisiana, and we
Yeah.
are all about cultivating leaders. And I
Hmm.
think that's an important thing, is that even no matter where you are in your leadership journey, Dillard
Yes.
University is going to pour into you to
Yes.
help you to be able to live ethically, help you to have
Hmm.
that frame of mind, no matter what
Hmm.
space you move in, but
Hmm.
also helping you to be able to think critically about issues and be able to communicate them. And then
Yes.
ultimately giving you that brave space where you can act courageously,
Yeah.
practice that in order to make the world better. So the unique selling proposition of Dillard in being in what we're calling that community is that we're
Hmm.
going to equip you in your leadership journey. So whether
Okay.
it's advancing health, so health at Dillard, oldest nursing program. We
Hmm.
have the National Center for Minority Health Equity, where we're doing research and trying to advance health in our communities.
Hmm.
Just yesterday, we were planting urban gardens as part of MLK. We planted some new gardens on the campus where we gave out fresh fruit and vegetables. So if there's
Hmm.
a student who wants to advance health, we got you, right? But
Yeah.
also, if you're interested in advancing safer communities, Dillard has a track record of that. And we believe that safe communities involves ownership. So we have
Yeah.
an amazing school of business program. So we want you to learn how to start your own business. We want you to know how to climb that corporate ladder. We want you to know how to invest in your community through your own financial wealth, growth, and journey. And so
Hmm.
Dillard, not only on that safer because you have economic stability,
Hmm.
but Dillard also is committed to safer communities through our very strong criminal justice program that we offer. It's
Hmm.
online. We offer it evening and weekends, as well as offer criminal justice at the traditional student base. And we run the Center for Racial Justice, which
Okay.
is really important to be able to advance society through the lens of social justice, looking at race, because race
Hmm.
does matter.
Yes.
And it's, however it's defined in different countries, it has an impact on how we move and operate in this world. So how we dismantle that and create better lens of social justice, which is also folks who are committed to that social justice would be happy to know that Dillard has a National Center for Black Jewish Relations, because we know we have to end hate, and we need to stop pitting Black people against Jewish people, right?
Okay.
Recognizing that Black people are Muslim, they're Christian, they're no faith, they're even Jewish, and Jewish folks are Black and brown and what have you. So let's stop pretending that we're not in this together. So
Right.
that's safety. But then the important space is that Dillard University, our community university, is dedicated to innovation.
Hmm.
So in our innovation space, we're doing DoD research in physics and
Mm.
lasers. We are
Yes.
doing research in quantum computing,
Hmm.
and we're advancing, even helping students to learn how to move in the esports, and learn how to program in the Unreal Engine. We are dedicated to helping to advance science and industry at Dillard. But the beautiful thing of the Dillard Community that advances healthy, safer, and more innovative communities is that it doesn't matter what your major is, you can be involved in all of those streams because we're liberal
Yes.
arts.
Yeah.
And we're going to help you to have field experience in that space. So you might be volunteering, you
Yeah.
might be in a paid internship, you might be in undergraduate research, you might be studying abroad in Japan.
Hmm.
Diller's approach to cultivating leaders is having you in and engage with the community, no matter what your major is, in order to help improve healthy, safer, and more innovative communities.
I like what you're saying about the, because I had a chance to visit your physics lab, man, and it is amazing. It is really and truly one of out of control. I mean, we had our little goggles on and we're watching all the different things that are taking place. So it's obviously you guys are making steps as far as innovation and different things. So how do you see technology helping to kind of grow the Dillard population, right? And now in the HBUs as a whole, like this move towards technology, all the things that we're doing with new energy and technology. How do you see that movement as something that can help propel Dillard and HBCUs forward as a whole?
Well, technology undergirds everything we do. So
Hmm.
if you're that student that loves the music industry, right, and
Hmm.
you want to be in that entertainment space, you have to understand analytics, because where's your audience? What do they want? Where's your music being played, picked
Yeah.
up, being sold, etc.? You've got to understand the analytics, the business side of it, as well as the
Hmm.
new technologies. How do you protect your copyright when
Mm.
people can very easily or own your own name and image, what
Yes.
have you? um, because of AI, right? And
Hmm.
people's ability to steal and grab, you know, things. So even in that humanities and fine arts and athletic space, technology plays a role. So when we think about, particularly as other HBCUs are getting their athletics and things shown on television, how do you monetize that? Right?
Yeah.
How do you make sure that your university is getting those funds? That's technology. How do we make sure our games are broadcast online? Well,
Hmm.
you can now have cameras that are basically, you're operating it remotely, and you don't
Hmm.
have to have a cameraman at each of those things. So technology is key, no matter if you're in the humanities or in the natural sciences, or if you're in the business space, or if you're in
Hmm.
nursing. If you go into our nursing lab, you're
Hmm.
going to see that we have these like robotic kind of simulator dolls that their eyes will turn jaundice and
Yeah.
their
Yeah.
heart rate will give birth. I mean, it's really kind of spooky. But the
Yeah.
point is that technology, right, and virtual
Yeah.
reality is training people in the medical sciences and the health sciences area. So there's not a space, whether it's humanities or if it is in that physics and your knowledge creation and chemistry, what have you, or if it's in applied like business and health sciences,
Hmm.
HBCUs have to know that technology runs through all of that.
Yes. So, question, right? So, how do you believe? And this may be a shameless plug, and it may be a great commercial, but how do you believe partnerships, man, like with technology companies and folks that are leading the way in the advancement of, be it the biomedical field that you're talking about, how could those partnerships strengthen what HBCUs and what Dillard University, what you guys are trying to do?
The wonderful thing about partnerships is
Hmm.
that it's a win-win situation.
Okay.
So if we're going to meet um, to prepare our students to be leaders,
Mm-hmm.
then we have to make sure that they're equipped with not only, how to do things using technology, but the critical thinking that goes behind it, right?
Okay.
And so the we're preparing the students so companies can get amazing um, employees that have a
Mm-hmm.
mindset towards management and diversification of their workforce, because if your workforce is more diverse, you're going to be more profitable. And
Yes.
we have that diverse talent that is equipped with those critical thinking skills, those communication skills, all those
Mm-hmm.
soft skills, as well as the foundation to be able to learn quickly in a sector. Now, imagine if a company, whether it's a pharmaceutical, doing bio, chemical research or what have you, or you
Mm-hmm.
have someone from the tech space or the new energy space comes
Mm-hmm.
in and says, hey, this is what we're wrestling this is the skill set, this is the knowledge that we need to prepare. We then can create this super graduate that is job ready day one, but not
Yes.
just for the first job, but for the leadership jobs, the management jobs of the future. And that's
Yes.
what we need to be in partnership with. We want to make sure that our students are graduating with experiences as
Mm-hmm.
well. So, one of the programs that we just were funded to develop in partnership with GNO Inc., which is the Greater New Orleans Incorporated, it's our economic development group. They received this huge grant, H to the Future,
Mm-hmm.
trying to help with this whole new energy sector, hydrogen capture, all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they wrote HBCUs in partnership into this major grant application because they know that we're the workforce of the future.
Right.
And that if we can combine, again, going back to that story of Gahanna, Ohio, and fighting for equity, if
There we
we
go.
can equip this
Mm-hmm.
diverse workforce, because there is the browning of America. People say, oh, there is the enrollment cliff coming. Well, that enrollment cliff is really, it's more black and brown faces coming up in enrollment and
Mm-hmm.
more Caucasian faces that might be declining. So fish where the fish are. We have been always punching above our weight class,
Yes.
HBCUs, and graduating amazingly talented people in the sciences, in
Mm-hmm.
STEM, right?
Mm-hmm.
As well as in humanities, as well as in business. And so if you invest in a partnership with an HBCU, you're going to invest in your own corporation, you're going to
Yes.
invest in your own industry to develop leaders who have the skill set to get started day one, but
Mm-hmm.
also the knowledge and the critical thinking skills that will advance them into leadership. And
Yes.
so it's a both and proposition.
And I'm going to talk just a little bit about what we had opportunity to work on. I think that we've been brought some speakers over and really trying to focus on that space of regardless of what major it is. I think everyone has something to offer this technology and new energy space, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We need folks to be thinking about it in terms of the ethics around technology. So if you
Yes.
use AI, for example,
Hmm.
and or you're using like facial recognition software
Hmm.
and stuff, those things weren't tested on black and brown faces,
Okay.
right?
Hmm.
Even with the biotechnology, when we were doing COVID testing,
Yeah.
nobody thought to test those oxygen sensors on brown skin, and it wasn't picking up our oxygen levels right. So we
Hmm.
need folks who are thinking about black and brown people
Yeah.
in terms of just from an ethics perspective that our populations matter. Okay.
Yes.
And you have to balance that in the tech space. So there's an ethics piece of it, but then there's also, when you think about technology, we need to make sure that people are understanding how to communicate new technologies, right?
Hmm.
So the
Hmm.
storytelling skills, that I've gained, I love to ask lots of questions as a journalist, what have you,
Yeah.
but being able to ask the questions to translate what's happening in technology to the masses, to let young people know that there's career opportunities, there's an education opportunity in technology, there is
Hmm.
a communication piece in technology. There also is the opportunity, how do you market and sell the technologies that exist? So
Yes.
even if you aren't on the STEM and engineering side, somebody needs to come up with the business plan to sell these technologies, to get it into the hands of consumers or business to business, B2B, which is a whole other space. But we need people who understand business and are not afraid of the science,
Yes.
because there's a sweet spot in those who understand business and can take and understand how to market and sell these new technologies. But we also need people on the legal front. We needed
Yes.
people to understand what the law is or the law should be. So there's a public
Mm-hmm.
policy front too. So
Mm-hmm.
just think about it. If we would have had, when Facebook was created way back when, right?
Mm-hmm.
In somebody's dorm room, right? Wanted to
Right.
do a hookup site, essentially meet your college classmates, right? If
Mm-hmm.
somebody would have stopped to think about public policy
Yeah.
as
Okay.
that company grew, maybe we wouldn't have had, oh, corruption in the election cycle because of selling of data. If we would
Right.
have thought about that up front. But if
Right.
we think about things only from a technology perspective and we forget public policy, we forget ethics, we forget marketing,
Yeah.
we might be a better world because it's
Yeah.
creating those kind of leaders. So, technology, people oftentimes think you have to be an engineer,
Mm-hmm.
right? STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math, and it's only for those folks who are heavy STEM. Well, no,
Mm-hmm.
they might come up with the technologies to develop it, but then you have to have the ethical use of it. You have to be able to communicate about it. You need to
Mm-hmm.
make sure that it's working within the public space and you're protecting intellectual property. So, all of those other areas are critical to STEM.
it, I had a chance to address, because you guys pulled together a really cool group of volunteers. The students were amazing, man. I tell people it was seamless. I've never been around people so much younger than me. It was no direction. They just automatically knew. They would go get it, go do it, help each other. And one of the things that I stressed to them, because I had my HPCO 4.0 shirt on, right? One of the things I stressed to them was, while there is innovation, and it sometimes feels like when we're talking about innovation technology that it's miles away from the other majors, it's actually not. Because when you start talking about the entrepreneurial concept of it, a lot of those innovators need teams, and they need teams to be able to, like we're talking about, you can have a great plan, but your finance major, your
Mhm,
communication major who can put
mhm,
together the pitch deck, right? Your person who just happens to be focused on a public health course, or somebody can say, oh, this is how it's going to affect the community. And so all those different versions come from, or can come from, an HBCU. So some of this, a lot of that talent can just take the product, be able to learn it and how it should be marketed and where it should be marketed, and being able to pitch back to other founders. A lot of times that happens. Like, people will actually pitch to be on your team. And I think that there's going to be opportunities for a lot of those different majors to come together and create solid teams to help innovators out.
and that is so critical. The person
Mm-hmm.
who comes up with the idea is one thing, but you have to bring around you really smart people.
Mm-hmm.
And what you find on our college campuses are those really smart people in a host of disciplines that can take that idea and help you to develop it, to market
Mm-hmm.
it, to make sure that you can get people, recruit people to work on your teams, to produce it, to market it, to
Mm-hmm.
evaluate it, all of those things. And so when you go back to that concept of partnership, that's
Mm-hmm.
what we need. We need partners to build teams, right? We need their time. We got to find the right talent. And then we need investors to find the treasure to invest in those ideas. And so partners can come to HBCUs and get an amazing bang for their buck and investing in a Dillard University where you can not only recruit for your workforce, but you
Yes.
can also develop the future pipelines and even solve some of your problems that you're working on today. Because I love it when companies and nonprofits or even governments come to the university and say, "Hey, I'm wrestling with this problem. Help me to
Mm-hmm.
solve it." And
Yes.
so we have had success at that from marketing and communications classes, where we
Hmm.
help to create plans for new businesses from that
Yeah.
marketing communication standpoint. And we've also had case studies where people said, hey, we've got some data, but we never had the person or the time or the bandwidth to really understand it. And we've had students to help solve those sort of data-based problems. But then
Hmm.
also on competition teams, in the STEM area, everything from building out rockets and all. But the reality is that young people can help in your research and development, in
Hmm.
addition to just, not saying just, but being interns. But you'll be amazed what an intern can do if you ask them a question. Their
Hmm.
creativity and the different way of thinking, because oftentimes we think about diversity just as black and white.
Yes.
Diversity is also intergenerational. So, you will get at a university those Gen Zs, which are now entering the workforce, and they're going to think very differently than the boomers and the Xers who are all still in the workforce today, let alone the millennials and the Gen Zs are very different.
Hmm. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And everybody, I think, as I was looking at those groups, the one thing I found was that they're all looking for meaningful work. And it's
Yes.
funny, even I think there are even some Generation Xers.
Mhm.
They're at that space where when what they're working to do, they want it to mean something. They want it to have impact.
Yeah.
And I think that when you're looking at technology, especially when entrepreneurs being an entrepreneur, bringing new concepts to market, I think all that is meaningful work. But then also some of the things you guys are doing with the blue to green, a lot of things you're doing with your sustainability and how you're taking care of the campus. Can you tell us a little bit about that group? Because I had a chance to meet a couple of
Mhm.
your members from that, and they are awesome.
Yes. So again, that idea of being that community, we recognize that we need to save the environment.
Yeah.
And let's just be clear. When you look at some of the environmental challenges that we face as a nation, Black
Mhm.
and brown communities are at the top of the bad list, right?
Yeah.
Because they use us as dumping grounds. And
Mhm.
so one of the things I love about our students is that they're ready to solve those problems within our own community, beginning on campus, right?
Yeah.
So how do we promote recycling? How do we promote composting? How do we promote urban gardens? How do we promote a host of things that will make Dillard University a better, more sustainable place? Again, advance that healthy, safe, and innovation. It's all of those things combined into one. But in addition to that, how do we advance that in the community? And so
Mhm.
when you look at some of the partnerships that we've done with the Center for Racial Justice, we
Mhm.
have done things that are going to advance better climate in various communities in not just New Orleans, but throughout the state of Louisiana,
Mhm.
because we know that environmental. And so we're doing at a very micro level on campus
Mhm.
with our blue green. And so we're the Blue Devils, thus the blue, but
Blue
spelled
green. Mhm.
EAU, not to be
Mhm.
confused with that other place in North Carolina. That's a Blue Devil.
Right. Right. No,
so,
not to be confused.
so the blue is our school, and then the green is how do we be more environmentally conscious. And so
Yeah.
doing things on the local level, but then taking that out into the community and making an impact on a public policy end, on a direct service end, as well as a science and technology
Mhm.
as well.
And you guys have made a serious commitment. You've actually brought in a sustainability officer. I think I had
Yes.
yes, I connected with Kim Opperman,
Hmm.
and
Yes, him, Opperman, Torres. So
mhm.
we're very excited through our partnership with UNCF, and I must give UNCF a shout out that
Shout out.
through their Blue Meridian group, the transformation work that UNCF has been doing,
Mhm.
building up capacity, we
Mhm.
were able to fund a sustainability officer. And so she is thinking about Dillard being a greener campus. How to become
Mhm.
much more environmentally conscious? How do we save energy? How do we capture solar to make our campus more energy efficient? How do we consider, we have retention ponds on campus so that when it
Mhm.
rains, we won't flood anymore. It can drain out, but how can we use that as a possible energy source to generate energy when it does rain a lot, right? And
Yeah.
so we're thinking about that instead of having water bottles, reusable water stations. So we can, not reusable water, but you can get your own water bottle and fill it up versus grabbing a plastic water bottle from the store, right? So that we
Yes.
can have reusable utensils and things. And the same thing with even working with Sodexo, our food provider. But
Oh.
we have to think about environmentalism in all the various facets, whether it is capturing energy to be able to
Mhm.
use in the storm, making Dillard a lighthouse for the community, again, leading
Mhm.
into that community, or if it is making sure that we reduce our trash and carbon footprint, and so
Mhm.
that we're able to recycle, or instead of using buy a water bottle every day, reuse a water bottle, looking
Yeah.
at using instead of bringing out styrofoam plates and things, that we now have green bins to carry
Right.
out from the cafeteria, that you can reuse that plastic bin,
Mhm.
not bin, but cart, it's not a carton container, like your own little Tupperware container that you can
Yeah.
reuse to go to the cafeteria. So we're thinking about how do we make the campus more sustainable, whether
Mhm.
it's through energy, through recycling, through our community outreach. How do we make Dillard that's blue, make it green?
So when we and wow, so it's great. So we got the. I mean, it's a lot. I mean, you're doing. It's obvious that you're doing a lot. When we met and we had a chance to talk, I think it was early, but just in a very short period of time, from Essence, which was 4th of July weekend, to now, you guys have done a ton of stuff. You
Yes.
guys, yeah, you've done a ton of stuff, and you've engaged a lot of folks. So what's
Yeah,
on the?
we just recently got a grant from the state of Louisiana
Mhm.
to focus on campus beautification, and so that it's not just about recycling, but is how do you combine the two together to make
Mhm.
the campus even more beautiful?
Yes.
So there's opportunities there.
So so now we have the interaction with the community, the social responsibility of making sure that we're good stewards of this earth. Right, that's pretty much where we are right now. Um, so tell me a little bit about now. Do you know of any potential careers that you think, or have you had a chance to run across some folks that may have given some potential careers with the blending of the communications and the technology and different things? Has anybody reached out about potential opportunities with that?
Oh, every day we're getting phone calls
No.
from potential employers and partners, and some of them we've met through OHUB's programs. And so,
Hmm.
if folks, download your app
Hmm.
and watch some of the previous programs that you have, each of those people that have startups, they're in the race for talent, and they're
Yes.
coming to Dillard and saying, "Hey, do you have some students who might be interested in this?" Whether it's from making and the manufacturing end, or
Yes.
from the marketing and finance. As you said, there's so many opportunities that you can take your interest and apply it into all different sectors.
Exactly. And that spot of that advanced building materials spot, I think we had a chance. I don't know if you got a chance to meet Jay. She probably did. He has the 3D printers.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, man, there's just so many different opportunities that open up for folks. Um, so, what, knowing where we are right now, we're definitely in it. Is there a way you believe that HBCUs can be a catalyst? What is that thing that they can do to move things forward in that space of sustainability and technology?
I think one of the key things is that we have to continue to articulate to our current students, as well as to future young people who might be coming into our doors, what the possibilities are, to
Hmm.
be able to keep the light on, as terms of you can do a lot with your degree,
Hmm.
right? And
Yes.
these are some new sectors that you can get into. But again, it goes back to that partnership, that we need businesses who are in this new energy space. We need
Yes.
businesses who are developing new technologies to look to HBCUs as part of their workforce development. Like, we can get
Mhm.
amazingly smart talent, not just in the STEM area, but for our business side, for our legal and public policy side, that we have talent that can help meet their needs and to think about things in a way that they may not have thought about it before. Because when we go back to the beginning of the conversation, diversity, equity, inclusion is bringing
Mhm.
your whole self to work. So HBCUs will we have the history of empowering people to believe in themselves and to have a voice, right?
Yeah. Yes.
And so partnership with an HBCU will open that door to workforce development as well as technology and innovation development also. So our role is to be able to be open to these ideas and then be able to translate it to the next generation, the students that we currently have. And a lot of us are doing research. So you can
Yes.
partner with our faculty to
Mhm.
do the research that will help to advance the technology. You might be thinking about something, and because you're an entrepreneur, you don't have a large R&D, way to
Mhm.
experiment. You could partner with an HBCU. You don't have to
Mhm.
go to the historically white universities. You could come to an HBCU to test your technologies, to test out an
Yes.
idea, either in a lab setting or in a field setting.
Mhm.
We can be your R&D partner. So
Yes.
HBCUs serve multitude of functions. One, workforce development. Two, HBCUs can serve as a place for your research and development.
Mhm.
And three, about helping to communicate what the opportunities are
Mhm.
to the wider communities for the future generations as well as those who are out there, because we have alumni. So if you look at our alumni base,
Mhm.
there's a huge opportunity to say, hey, you can transition into this new space with your transferable skills. Here's a sector that you may not have ever thought about. The alums, come and be a part of this sector with us.
Yes. And to your alumni, I also would like to let them know that there are a couple of different organizations, and there may be something that we can follow up on and try to get some resources out after we do our podcast, that they specifically want innovators to partner with HBCUs. They
Oh,
specifically want that.
Absolutely. And
Mhm.
if you look at the federal government and the grants and things that are out there,
Mhm.
many of them require that you partner with an HBCU or some other minority serving institution,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
And there's money there. And
Yeah.
the federal government, I love that Kamala Harris is the vice president of the United States, and she's a product of an HBCU, same one that I went to as an undergrad.
Yeah.
But
Howard.
but it's when we have that seat at the table
Mhm.
promoting HBCUs, then opportunity follows. And
Yes.
so our alums need to make sure that they know what's happening and how they can get involved in this new ecosystem of new energy and other spaces in the tech market,
Mhm.
and how they can bring their skill sets to the table.
Absolutely. So now we're like you said, we've gotten to a space of, we know that our majors are not going to be a barrier to us getting into innovation and entrepreneurship, right?
Right. The beauty of a liberal arts education, we're teaching you how to think critically, how to be
Mhm.
creative. And
Mhm.
so in having an ethical framework, we're teaching you
Mhm.
how to communicate. You're going to do that whether you're a dance major or you're a physics major. That's
Mhm.
what we're committed to doing in the liberal arts education. And well, I can't speak to all, but nearly all the HBCUs I know, but particularly at Dillard, our
Mhm.
commitment is to making sure that our students are educated through the liberal arts so that they can have those critical thinking skills, those creative thinking skills, that they can have the communication skills that are transferable,
Mhm.
um, to live ethically, but being these courageous leaders that we know that they can be. And that can be in any sector because that foundational skill set is there.
Mhm.
I love to ask people, parents when they, or family members when they, or even teachers when they come with their students to visit Dillard or other universities, because
Mhm.
I've been at other universities as well. And I ask them, how many of you are working in the industry that you majored in college, or that you thought
Mhm.
that you would be? Are you doing the thing you thought you would be when you were 17, 18 years old? And usually only
Mhm.
one or two people raise their hands,
Mhm.
because you really don't know what you're going to do when you're 17 years old. There's so many other opportunities out there, and we find ourselves with transferable skills that you can take to brand new sectors or
Hmm.
into jobs that didn't even exist today. When I was in college, we weren't talking about AI, right?
Right. No,
That,
not at
that
all.
wasn't a thing, right? There was
No,
no such thing as there barely was an internet outside of the government. Right? And so,
absolutely.
and
How,
so the jobs that exist today, they may not even exist tomorrow, and there's going to be jobs that exist tomorrow that don't exist today. So
yeah.
it's all about being liberally educated so that you
Hmm.
can be a leader, that you can be cultivated as a leader who's going to live ethics. Everybody's got to have this ethical frame of mind. If not, you come up with technologies that do more harm than good. And
Hmm.
then you have to be able to think critically, and you have to be able to communicate that, and then have courage. And that's what the HBCU education does for you, is that it helps you to be a more courageous leader. That's what we pour into you. That's what our history is. And that's what we're going to continue to do.
I love it. I love it. So, and just getting back a little bit to, we talked about the, man, it was one, you just gave it to me. I tell you what, I'm going to come back to it. Let's say we have a student that is, oh, I know exactly what I was going to say. One of the things I remember distinctly is everything that I was doing when I was 17, 18 years old, it didn't make sense to everybody who was the grown-ups, the generation before, right?
Mhm.
We were playing video games all the time. You're never going to make any money doing that. You're never wasting your time, right? Fast forward, gamers are some of the highest paid individuals in the country right now.
Yes. So I joke with my son that all the video games I bought him have certainly paid off because
Mhm.
he's a graphic designer for Sony, right? For
Oh,
Sony
nice. Yeah.
PlayStation. And so
Yeah.
he took his doodling skills and applied it
Right.
to the video gaming industry. And
Yes.
he's a professional in it. He's not a professional gamer. He still plays that for fun. But my goodness, he is part of that production of creation
Yeah.
of things that just simply don't exist or didn't exist. I won't tell you the game that I was playing where it was dots and
Oh, yeah. We did
pretend like it was football. But
the
anyway, um,
ping pong. Boop, boop, boop,
ping
boop.
pong, right?
That was us too, man.
That was
Same thing.
fun.
Hmm.
But the point of the matter is that it's about creative critical thinking, and then how we can use things. And it's, if you look at the partnership that Dillard has with Epic Games, they're
Hmm.
the creator of the Unreal Engine.
Okay.
People know them as Fortnite. But what
Yeah.
people don't realize is that Epic Games, their most money isn't from Fortnite, it's from the Unreal Engine being used in other
Games.
sectors,
Yeah.
in the um, in the architectural sector, to do building walkthroughs. The same technology that's used for Fortnite is being
Right.
used for architecture. The same technology that's being used in Fortnite is being used for engineering projects, is being
Yeah.
used to do things in the biomedical, is being used for aerospace, is being used in all these things, but it was originally designed for a video game.
Fortnite.
It's
Yeah.
so much bigger than that. And so Dillard has a partnership, and our computer science students are engaged in it.
Mm.
Students who are just enjoying being part of our esports arena are part of that. Students who are fascinated by that whole sector from the marketing and business perspective, they're part of that. It's broader than a singular discipline in a
Mhm.
company that did not exist 20 years ago.
Yes. Yes. So, Dr. Ford, we got 17, 18-year-olds out there. We got probably got parents out there. Um, that person or that student that's already been exposed to some technology and is really excited about all the things that they're doing. And now they got to make a choice on coming to Dillard University, bringing that love for technology they already have to the campus. And what are some of the ways they can get involved right off the bat, just coming to Dillard University and bringing their love for technology and their curiosity? What are some of the things they can do right off the bat?
So there's so many things that you can do
Mm-hmm.
at Dillard to further cultivate you as a leader in this space. Being involved in undergraduate research programs. So we have faculty that are doing research in a whole host of spaces. You can work on their research projects. We can get you engaged in service to the community, whether it's through partnerships like we have with STEM NOLA, right? That
Mm-hmm.
we're helping to help future generations to get excited about science, technology, engineering, and math. You can get involved in internships. We have students that we've placed as interns in some of these entrepreneurial ventures, as well as with people within the new energy, as well as traditional energy companies. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it's a way that you can get your feet wet on campus and research in service to the community, as well as in internships and even part-time jobs. I have had companies to come to me to say, we would love for your students to work for us part-time. We will pay them
Mm-hmm.
because we need really smart, we need really creative thinkers, and we want a diverse workforce. We will pay them to work part-time for us. We will give them a stipend to go towards their graduation and go toward their education, and we'll guarantee them a job at the end.
Mm-hmm.
That's the race for talent. And so if
Yeah.
you come to a Dillard University, I can guarantee you we're going to partner you in one of those spaces. And it could be just be could be that I'm open, that I did okay, but I didn't know that there was a space for me in this. We can help you to discover what that might be. And what you might find out is that you love something that you didn't even know that you liked.
Right. Right. So the cool thing about coming to Dillard is that there's a lot of opportunities to kind of explore, where you fit in this space. And then
Right.
obviously there's a whole lot of other things that are coming online for them as well. But there's space for them to explore what's important or what they think they want to get involved in.
Absolutely. I loved it when OHUB had one of their first events on campus, and some of this, I was walking my dog right before the event, and I saw some students like, "What are you doing? You should come into this event." And they're like, "Oh, well, I'm not such and such. Just come and listen." And then they found out about opportunities they didn't even know that existed, because I think
Yes.
that was the presenter who had his own clothing line, and he
Yes.
was explaining how diamonds are created in labs and how it was
Mhm.
so much cheaper to be in this space. I mean, their minds were just blown. It's like, what? Wait. And they learned lessons of entrepreneurship. Even if they didn't want to go into the new energy sector, they were
Yeah.
learning lessons in entrepreneurship, and they were talking about venture capital. Some of them were like, what's venture capital? And then they're like, hey, I'm a finance major. Maybe I'll become a venture capitalist, right? And
Yeah.
I want to start my own fund. So just by going to speakers on a college campus, just wandering
Absolutely.
in and listening, it
Yeah.
might change your whole trajectory because of the exposure that you get. And you can be a freshman or a senior and walk into a space, particularly, when we're talking about our partnership with OHUB, is
Mhm.
that our students, and you don't even have to just be at Dillard on campus, it's streamed. So you can share, for those who are, listening to this podcast, they can share it with a young person, and they
Mhm.
can take all the certifications just by, participating online via their phone.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of what we're trying to do, is we're trying to take these opportunities. Dillard University being that university, how do we take this partnership with OHUB and share it
Mhm.
with other HBCUs, share it with other young people, share it with the alumni to say, hey, here's a sector you need to know more about. Download
Mhm.
the app, enroll, listen, complete the certifications, and look and see where your career and your opportunities might go.
Right. And I think my desire for my class of 1992, for all my folks from Dillard, class of 1992, I think the number one thing that I would want them to understand is that it's here.
It's
It's
here.
right there at Dillard University. It's not something that we got to go look elsewhere. If there's a question or there's any insight or there's anything they need to know, they can ask. And if they ask that question and it gets back to us, we're going to do everything we can do to get that answer either directly from OHUB or directly from the ecosystem.
Absolutely. That's what partnership is all about.
Hmm.
And we want folks to look to Dillard as being their community partner
Hmm.
for not just, your bachelor's degree. We now offer masters, so come to get your master's in nursing entrepreneurship,
Hmm.
nursing administration, and nursing education. We have those three concentrations, but we want folks to look to us to be their partner for their own workforce development, their own professional development. You don't have to be an alum of Dillard to be engaged with OHUB by Dillard, right? It's a
No.
partnership that is in the goal is to bring it out to the whole ecosystem. You don't have to be a current student or a graduate of an HBCU to participate in our programs. Come and be a part of us and help you to be exposed to this um, wider sector of entrepreneurship as well as the new energy market.
But yeah, and definitely from the OHUB space, I think that one of our first, the very foundation of our um, approach of our model is exposure.
Yes,
If you don't get exposure to it, there's no way you can really. It's hard to make a choice for it, right? At least with the exposure, you get a chance to ask questions and you get a chance to see if it's something that you're interested in. I think something that was really interesting, and I think it was the speaker was, I think it might have been Don Ward, because I just remember how engaged the group was, and you had some nursing students in that group as well, and it was just they were looking like I think I want to at least explore the entrepreneurial side while also being my that major. So one of the things
absolutely.
that our goal and what I really hope to do this year, you guys have an amazing alumni in Dr. Trivia Frazier. And we've had an opportunity to work with her on several accounts. And she actually graduated from did her undergrad at Dillard University. And
Mhm.
I think being able to, she has a whole, like just a whole plethora, just everything, the entrepreneurial side,
Amazing.
amazing, things that Obatala are doing. And so
Makes
being
me want to go back to school and learn more. I've got
able.
work to do.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the good news is you got alumni out there who can come back and teach more. So
Absolutely. And I was so
yeah,
thankful that she was tapped to be one of your featured speakers. We're very proud of her and the work that she does. But to your point, there's opportunities to learn and to grow together. And trust and believe, every time I listened in on the session, I wish I could go to First Fridays every Friday because I learn and I continue to grow. And so we're
yeah.
never too old to engage in this space, and
Mhm.
we're never too inexperienced, because you would be amazed what you can gain, awareness and exposure to make you think about something differently,
Mhm.
or to be able to share it with someone that you meet. Did you know that there's a thing where you can learn about entrepreneurship? Do you know there's a place you can go to learn more about this new energy sector? And that's why Dillard's going to be a community advancing healthy, safer, and more innovative communities.
Yeah, absolutely. And we are 100% thankful, man, for you guys just opening up your arms to us, giving us an opportunity just to kind of come by and just kind of be a part of the family. Like I never really, like it's everyone has been very helpful and very supportive. So we're super, super appreciative of that. And I want to say thank you for that. Also, thank you for all your hard work in the team and the work that your team is doing as well, man. Shout out to Dillard University and the whole staff, everyone that we've had a chance to connect with, and even those folks that we haven't had a chance to connect with.
Well, I appreciate being in partnership with you, and that's what it's about. That's what a community is. Getting
Hmm.
out of that ivory tower and making it accessible. And so thank you, OHUB, for inviting me today and for
Yes,
being our partner so that we really can make this world a better place.
cool, man. So we're super excited, and we thank you, Dr. Ford, for joining us. We have one more series. We have one more podcast inside of our Equity and Energy series, and then we will have the opportunity to go present our 5 founders. They're at the end of their process. I think they pitched February 2nd. No, February 3rd, they're going to pitch. And so we're going to be presenting them at NOE during New Orleans Entrepreneur Week. So we're really excited about that, and just all the great talent that came from New Orleans and all across the country. Any of my founders watching this, man, you guys know I love you and I really appreciate you. And we're just super excited you've been here with us. So thank you, Dr. Ford. Next, Equity and Energy podcast will be our very own Darrell Freighter, who is our VC in resident. And he will kind of give us some background on the incubator itself, kind of give you some insight on the new incubator that's coming up that we will be kicking off here in April. So we look forward to having him on our next podcast. So to everyone, thank you and good night.